All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello. Welcome back to Blame Your Brother. This is episode 227, and we are streaming live on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, blameyourbrother.tv. Come hang out with us as we record the show live, or if you missed that, you can grab it Friday mornings on every podcast platform, so we encourage you to do that. And we are Blame Your Brother. I'm one half of this duo. I am David, a.k.a. D-Brew, voice of people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson, the spiritual midget. I sit next to this gentleman on my left. This is John.
Hey everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, the consummate fool, the jester, Mr. PTI, the madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman. They do have a madman. Okay, he's a madman.
That's right. So I'm David. That's John, and we'll be talking to you for the next hour, so we're looking forward to it. We have some fun topics, and tonight, since it's April Fool's Day, we figured, what would our Mount Rushmore be? Well, how about the greatest stand-up comedians of all time? We could have done pranks, but there's probably not enough of them, truthfully. But we're here, and we're going to break down who belongs on the Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, heads up to JD, one of our listeners. He was talking to him the other day, and he contributed to the idea of doing the comedians.
There you go. Well, it's been a crazy week, and we'll jump into the news in just a minute, but we always start off on a personal level. John, anything going on with you this week?
Oh, boy.
No COVID vaccines? You signed up?
No, not yet. No, nothing I can think of right now.
Okay, well, let's see here. Did anything happen to me this week? It's been kind of a slow week, which is good, you know, considering.
No news is good news.
Yes, but as we move forward, things are happening in the world. I'm really trying to think. Did anything happen? No, not really. I mean, I was just trying to get home repair work can be difficult because if you find someone you really like, you can stick with them and they can do it. There's a section of my flooring in my house that needs to be repaired. It got wet. And it's like a small portion of it. And so we got these companies to come out and they're like, oh, we're going to rip up all of the wood panel in your entire house to fix it. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't want to do that, And so they've cut us a check to do that kind of work. So we've been trying to find someone just to replace this. I mean, this is like less than 6 feet of an area of wood that got damaged. So we had these people come out today, and I don't think they were doing a very good job. And I showed my wife pictures of it, and I don't know anything about home repair. Just being real with you, I'm not the guy to go to.
You're not that guy.
If you need tech advice, I'm your guy. You need like podcasting, musical equipment, all that's in my wheelhouse. I mean, there's a number of things in my wheelhouse, but home repair is not. So anyway, I showed her the picture, and then she's like, well, my dad's going to come over and take a look at it. So my father-in-law shows up. Now, these dudes go to lunch at like 12 o'clock. They're there working on it, and they leave at 12. They don't go back till 3 o'clock. It was like a 3-hour lunch. So
it must be nice.
I don't know what that was about. But anyways, my father-in-law was there. He looked at the work, and he was like, this is not very good, I guess they got upset, and they left. So now, and it's probably for the better. But in those moments, I don't know, man. I just put a lot of pressure on myself to make those things right. And when they don't go right, I put a lot of that pressure on myself. So I was kind of like bummed out.
I think it's a guy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your castle.
Right, yeah.
You're the lord of the manor, and if something doesn't go right, you kind of feel responsible.
Yeah, I do. And so anyway, so that was about the excitement of my week this week. So there we go. Well, lots happening in the world, and it's not the summer yet, but it could be the summer of outrage 24/7 in America. And so let's pick a topic that everyone is talking about this week. I don't know if you know anything about it, but Lil Nas X has outraged the right side of the aisle. Now, are you aware of this Lil Nas X controversy?
I'm not sure.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Lil Nas X. Now, we all know Lil Nas X from Old Town Road. Everyone knows that. I mean, that may be the most popular song. I can't even think of anything that rivals it. Like, I mean, I'm sure we could pull something from our childhood, but every kid, every adult knows the song. It was like a blockbuster song. Well, anyway, so Lil Nas X, he is a rapper or a hip hop artist, and he released a song called Montero. Now, Montero is his actual name. And the music video contains a lot of Christian-based imagery, and it also depicts Lil Nas X starting out in the Garden of Eden, being seduced by the serpent, and then falling from heaven into hell where he gives Satan a lap dance. In the end, he kills Satan and takes over hell. Because of the sexual nature of this video, coupled with the fact that it's based on religious imagery, it has drawn controversy, even more so because of the gay aspect. And he also started selling shoes, modified Nike Air Max 97s that have a pentagram on them, and apparently, according to Lil Nas X, contain blood in the shoes as well. So people are also upset about it because they have a pentagram on them. They say 666 on them. And they are custom shoes. Nike's not making these. These are Nikes he has purchased and modified, and he's trying to sell them. Well, Nike has blocked him now from sending these out. I don't know what I think about that, but I feel, I mean, this was a controversy back, in the Blockbuster video days where a lot of the movie companies were going, if you want this video, you got to pay us like a lot of money for this specific video. And then basically some guy started copying and renting them out, and he took them to some type of high court, and the high court's like, nah, if you buy it, you can rent it out. So aren't the shoes like kind of the same way? If I buy the shoes, I modify them and sell them, that's my property to sell. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me why.
I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're billing them as Nikes.
Yeah. Well, they say Nike on them, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's the...
And it's because of the controversy, obviously. Yeah. Well, anyway, so in the video, he's giving Satan a lap dance, and people have lost their minds about it. A number of right-leaning representatives all over the board are saying we've gone too far here. This is not right. Everything's wrong about it. And I'm like, okay, now he's number one. You've played right into his hand.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what he wanted.
You've given him free advertising.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so me and John can go all the way back to Madonna when the video Like a Prayer came out and featured scenes of her
with a black Jesus
in a Catholic type setting, erotic type setting, and then people lost their mind back then. Now we look at that video and it's laughable. I mean, people probably look at that and go, huh? You guys were upset about this? Now, also, I seem to remember a little movie called South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, where Satan was in a romantic relationship with Saddam Hussein in sexual relationship.
Yeah.
I don't remember people really being that upset about it. Now, I love it at the time, and I still love that movie to this day. It's got some great song and dance numbers in it that still are in my head to this day. But I don't remember people being that upset. I do remember people getting upset about Marilyn Manson, tearing up the Bible, blah, 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 blah. This is like a huge issue today. So, fair or foul to have a video where you're giving Satan a lap dance? Which one do you think? Is it fair or is it foul? Or do you even care?
I don't care. I think the people who are upset are being kind of stupid.
It's so weird, the things that people latch onto.
Yeah. I mean there's just so many things in America's past that if you compare them to what was going on in the day are way worse than this.
Oh, man, 100%, right? I mean, it's crazy.
So just get a hobby, man.
So does the gay aspect, is the fact that he's gay giving Satan a lap dance, got to play into it a little bit, right? I mean, like, if he was just in a video with Satan, just hanging out, this would not even be an issue. So why do people, we don't really know, but why are people so concerned often about what other people are doing with their life, that not hurting anyone? I just don't understand it. There's just too much going on for me to invest in. Oh, this dude's gay, or this dude's satanic. Well, good for you, brother. Yeah. That's what this country was founded on. Religious freedom. As long as those religious freedoms don't infringe on other people's rights, that's the entire point of why people came to this country to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons. I mean, I'm sure another reason was to get away from England, but we frame it in this religious freedom, which is funny to me because the Second Amendment, we talked about it last week. Everyone claims, You can't change the Second Amendment. Second Amendment's got to stay the way it is. It can't change no matter what, blah, 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 blah. I want my guns. You're never going to take them away. I posted some things, and some people came after us on Twitter this week, and it was just laughable, like, you're going to need that gun to defend yourself. I went, dude, what are you? It's the same silly argument. No, dude, if they're going to send drone strikes and kill us, they're not going to bust. We're in 2020, man. Wake up. We're 2021. Anyway, the people that clam on about the Second Amendment, they're going against the First Amendment, and they're the ones that say cancel culture is destroying America. Aren't they imposing cancel culture on this guy?
Yeah.
But, they're so dumb it backfired. At least when Disney went after Gina Carano, they knew at the heart of the matter that people that tune into Disney are young, impressionable, and their parents are probably a little bit more progressive, I would say.
You got to look at the clientele of whatever you're selling.
Right, yeah.
It's Lil Nas X. When you're selling music and it's not like the Wuzzles or whatever his guys' names were.
Who's that?
The Wiggles.
Oh, the Wiggles, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're geared towards specifically kids, if you are selling music, then you just want your name out there, period.
That's right.
And so, yeah, of course he did something controversial. He probably did it because he knew some people would be that stupid to...
Oh, 100%.
And so he's just like, he's banking on you.
And he got it. Yeah, like I said, this song's blowing up. And I don't know I know Old Town Road. I know that song. It's a good song. I can't knock it. I don't know this song. I wouldn't know it. It reminds me almost of Tekashi 6-1 or Tekashi 6-9. His music is like, it's not very good, but he generates so much controversy on the music. His YouTube videos get millions of downloads right after when they're released. And that's all these dudes need. We're in a different era now. You just need Spotify, YouTube really to fuel your popularity, to keep it going. Nobody's touring right now, so it's definitely not about the touring lifestyle. So he's figured out a way to do it. It's just, I find it just so funny that these people are so... Just ignore. I've always said, just ignore things. That will help your cause better than making a big deal about it. Because, okay, let's just take Twitter. If you get on Twitter and you don't know anything about Lil Nas X and no one tweets about it, John, you're never going to know what's going on.
Nope.
But when you jump on your timeline and it's all these like right-wing dudes getting retweeted, made fun of or whatever because of what they said, then you're like, whoa, what's going on here? Let me dig into this a little bit deeper. And then you end up watching the video. You're like, oh, they got me, and I don't understand the ploy of this idea to berate things. Just ignore them. I said that about Trump the entire time. Just ignore this dude. Do not report on his nonsense, and he will go away. And once he's been removed from the social media, he's gone away. I haven't heard much. I see occasional stories about him, rumors he might be doing this or that, but just any press is good. I think of our buddy Jason Steen, and he gets a lot of heat on him. And I've thought about this a lot, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can handle all that heat. I don't know how you are, John, but at some point, the heat gets to be too much.
Some people can be that guy.
He is that guy.
Some people can't.
He wants them hating on him. He released his own mugshot to go, here you go. He's having a roast coming up, I think, this week, where he's going to let people roast him. I don't know that I'm quite that strong. I am much more than I was younger, and sometimes I think, well, I guess to get traction on social media or the show.
If it was something that you could turn it on and off, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like how much fun would it be to be like a heel in a wrestling promotion?
Oh, it'd be
That'd
great.
Be a blast.
Oh, the best.
But the thing is when the cameras are off and you're not you're not in the ring or whatever.
Yeah.
You're just an everyday guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you have that opportunity to turn it on and off, but to be a public enemy just for those views, I don't think I could be that guy.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I've gotten used to it about the podcast. Like we'll occasionally have people.
I've thought in the early days of the podcast, I've thought of stuff like, what if I just started saying random stuff? Well, that would be completely, against what me, you, and Lee would think, and it would generate heat, but.
Think of some of our all-time big moments on the show where we got like fan mail. It was hate mail. It was because I said things that people took very offensively about dogs. Man, people lost their mind about it. But you're right, man. Burning that for that long, I mean, the old podcasts I used to do were much more controversial than this one. It gets to be a bit much at times. Like at some point you just want to relax and just say, hey, let's talk about comic books for 30 minutes. But if your pipeline into your show is controversy, which I mean, in the early episodes of this one, there was definitely some heated arguments. There was different sides of the argument where people could latch on and go, well, I agree with Lee. I agree with John. I agree with David. We would get that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, people go, I think you're a moron. I think you're great on different stuff. It'd be all different people. And after a while, it's just too much. I think I'm old enough now to say it's too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore. So, well, Lil Nas X, good for you. Let's talk about another guy that I don't enjoy talking about him, but he comes up since we live in this area, is David Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, the financial wizard genius, quote unquote.
The genius. If you make more money and you pay your bills, you won't be in debt.
I know.
Well, gee, thanks for that.
Yeah, you're great. I mean, work more hours, save more money, and you'll have more money. Yeah, well.
Eat beans and rice.
I know. It's pretty much, that's like him, Adam Carolla, and like Clay Travis's like mantra, like just eat beans and rice every day. It's like, well, dude, who wants to live that life? I mean, truthfully. I mean, yeah, we could all do that.
One of his mottos is live like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow.
Is that what? Now, he seriously says that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, somebody has made aware that he has been laying off employees. Now, do you know this story?
I don't, but I'm not.
Okay, go ahead. I want you to guess why he's firing his employees.
It's probably like he probably has some outlandish rules that he wants everybody to follow.
Go ahead. What do you think the rule is?
Oh my gosh.
Just something that he is a whole.
Probably if you wear a mask at the job, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. He's definitely criticized employees for wearing them at functions, which is odd. But this is crazy. Like, I'm just going to tell you because I guess you could run down 20 things. I'd be like, yeah, that might be true too. He has fired 9 employees for having relationships outside of marriage. And this is really, he fired someone, if I remember the story correctly. She was pregnant and was not married. She was let go. Now, I don't even know how that flies, but he's let go of other people that he found out were not married, were living together, and he fired them because they signed some contract when you go work for this guy that I guess any job I walk into.
I guess you like obey the 10 Commandments, and technically that's one of them.
I guess. I mean, I can't even imagine at any age of any part of my life walking into a job. We all understand at some point drugs were more image-wise more bad for you. So many jobs used to be take a drug test. Now that's kind of started to kind of fade away as we get more progressive with that. You don't get no drinking on the job, blah, blah, all the rules. And if I came down and says...
At least those that may or may not affect your job.
If there was one that's like no relationships outside your marriage, I would be, I'm not working here, man. Like, and I've heard Ramsey solutions go through your social media. They constantly monitor you. If you do anything outside these virtue guidelines, they fire you. How absurd is this? I mean, what word number one, how would they even prove? How would they even, the pregnancy, yes, that's a dead ringer. But if I...
Jesus was...
well, I mean, it's true. Jesus was conceived from a woman who was not married. So I would bring that up to him. I'd go, well, whatever. But the men that have been fired, I'm not advocating, it's all wrong across the board. I'm saying at least with a woman, there's some type of proof, unless it's immaculate conception. But with the dudes, how would they prove it? How would they prove it? So what? I live with this woman. So what? We don't ever have sex. I mean, prove it.
Yeah, we're just splitting the bills. She's a roommate.
I think that guy is a stain on the city. I mean, like I said, now that we have Ben Shapiro here taking pictures in a cowboy hat downtown Nashville, it was disgusting. We've got Clay Travis has obviously been here for a while. We got Dave Ramsey. We got Tommy Lahren. This place it's not surprising that these conservative alt-right people, that's what they are, or prosperity gospel people, all love this city because it's like an it city right now. But my God, I think they're just, I could go off on all of them.
I mean, I look back and I'm surprised that Al Gore came from the same state.
It is weird,
as
right?
Some of these people.
Yeah. I don't, it's so weird because Nashville, like I said, it's just this cluster of blue, and then there's Memphis, and then the rest of the state's just red, dude. It's like so red. And it honestly, it bums me out a lot of time. I'm like, we've talked about this before. I understand not all Republicans are evil, scandalous people, but the ones you do have representing you that stand out
and
are
the ones with the megaphone.
Yes, they are terrible, scandalous people. Like who can support this Dave Ramsey thing? I honestly want someone in the chat, on social media, anything. I want you to justify. If you argue with me about the Second Amendment, I may not agree with your take on it, and if it doesn't amount to name calling, we can agree to disagree on what gun solutions should be. Many of the things we can argue about. We can argue about health care. We can argue about minimum wage. We can argue about all these things. How does anyone argue this point? That is not, they would obviously have to be a hardcore, like even a hardcore Christian, though, is taught not to judge people. Dude, I've thought this way. If you took out pro-life, let's say pro-life, pro-choice was never an option. Abortion never existed. It didn't. We never came to it. It never happened. Why would Republicans, and John, you'll have to answer this because you lean Republican. Why are Republicans aligned with the Christian movement? What policies do they have? Okay, they're pro-death penalty. Now, that's not...
That's in the Old Testament.
But I'm talking about New Testament, Jesus.
Same God.
Different set of rules. Jesus broke the Sabbath, so he automatically broke one of the commandments right there.
He broke the Sabbath in their estimation of what the Sabbath was.
Well, isn't it all estimation?
There's nothing in the Old Testament that says you can't take more than X amount of steps on the Sabbath. There's nothing saying you can't heal someone on the Sabbath.
Well, that's working, dude. I mean, come on. Okay, so
is a mother allowed to breastfeed her child on the Sabbath? Yes, she is.
I mean, I guess. You tell me, brother. I don't know anything about this.
How different is healing someone than a mother providing
how different
sustenance.
Is fixing something in your house to make your family better?
That was their goal, and to lynch him pretty much.
Sabbath, terrible, whatever. Okay, so you argue that if you just looked at Jesus, the man, you think he would have been pro-death penalty from the Bible, the red words of Jesus. You think Jesus
just Jesus' gospel?
Yes. Would he be pro-death penalty? Come on, John. You know the answer is no. We'll just move on to the next thing. Are you really going to argue this? Because I don't think it can be argued.
As far as what was reported, he never goes down that road as far as talking about that.
Right. Okay.
So,
do you think he would be for guns? Come on.
I mean, probably not. He was kind of against war as a whole.
So welfare. He would be big welfare, right? I mean...
I don't think he would. I think because welfare is established by the state, he would
the spirit of what? The spirit of helping people.
Do
you think Republicans are known for their spirit of helping people?
I think that if you were to look at regulated government spending, where if you were to look at dollar for dollar people who've donated more,
well, not to say more.
I would assume that more Republican right-wing people donate more to causes than Democratic people do.
John,
that would be my guess.
No way, man. I disagree with you.
Well, I mean, neither one can be proven.
No, we'll never know. I mean, but that's a crazy. I'm just saying. It seems to me, and no one wants to say it, Jesus was a socialist. Pretty much in his teachings. You're right. He didn't say he backed away from government discussion. Obviously, he said render unto Caesar what's Caesar's, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. But he seemed to have a spirit of help your brother. Don't judge anyone. Don't stone people. How are you gonna say he's pro-death penalty, dude? The stoning. So these people were set to stone this person, and what happened?
The thing is they said they caught her red-handed.
Okay.
With who?
Doesn't matter.
There should have been another person.
Okay, so
he knew that they were trying to set him up.
But he did say.
So he said whatever he said. If he said stone her, he'd have been going against a lot of what he was preaching, and he would have been taking the law in his own hands.
Okay.
Also, if he said go ahead and stone her, don't stone her.
What did he say though? What did he say?
He said,
yes.
Let those without sin cast the first stone.
So is anyone in this world without sin?
without of that.
No. Is anyone in this world without sin?
No,
okay. Well, I think, John, come on. I'm just saying the Democratic Party. I don't know who wants to admit this, man, but they've tied it all on the pro-choice. They have. It's many people now I know basically are voting, and this was in the Trump election. Many dudes I worked with said the reason I'm voting for Trump is where he can elect the Supreme Court person, which happened, where they can overturn Roe v. Wade. That was like their driving factor. I'm like, dude, what about the economy? What about this guy, internet? No, I don't care about any of that. I mean, which I'm not going to argue that either way. I mean, Biden, Trump, minus the social media, maybe they're the same dude. I don't know. Who knows? Minus being a closet racist, but whatever. But his policies.
Closet.
Yeah, his policies. I mean, I don't even know what Biden's doing. I just know he's like doing stuff. But I mean, I don't know what the guy's necessarily doing. I could say you could argue about Trump, Obama, Bush. I mean, you would take away these major things that define their legacy. What did they actually implement while in office? And the majority of people are not going to be able to tell you. But I don't know, man. Pro-choice is like this crazy. It's become like this crazy a place to hang your hat. So I don't know. It's just weird. Well, let's get to the. Before we start the list, Tennessee legislative has passed some interesting laws this week. I don't know if you're aware of this. They're trying to make the Bible the state book in Tennessee. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest Christians you know.
Yeah.
I'm totally against that.
Thank you. It doesn't even make any sense to me.
There should be a separation of church and state.
Do you know why they say? Because it tells the history of... This is what I read, and I'm still scratching my head over it. It tells the history of Tennessee. I'm like, what?
How does the Bible tell the history of Tennessee?
Maybe they're talking about the economy of Tennessee based... It's one of the largest Bible providers. I don't know. And if they're talking about literally the history, I'm like, bro, that's like the Old Testament history of the Jewish lineage to Christ, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, Gentiles don't even get a fair shake, really, until Paul comes around. He's like, hey, dude, these Gentiles are people. I mean, Jesus, too. But Paul was like, yo, these are people too. It's weird. They're going to do that. They have now, I don't know if Bill Lee signed this or not, possibly. I don't know if he has. But you can now carry a gun around. No permits required.
That's what I was talking about last week, yeah.
Yeah, is that crazy?
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
I told you last week, I'm not a fan of it, no.
It's wild. I don't even understand it. Are you wanting the Wild Wild West to come back? Do you want people just carrying AR-15s? Speaking of Jason Steen's like a big proponent of it. He loves it. I think it's ludicrous. I think it's absurd.
Wait, he's for it?
Oh, hell yeah. He carries a piece where he goes, apparently.
I love Jason to death, but sometimes I do not get him.
Yeah, he's a hard dude to figure out sometimes. But that, and then they were going to do something else. Oh, they did pass the law about transgendered athletes cannot compete, I guess.
In the high school level?
Yes, or something. I don't know.
I kind of agree with that.
I mean, but girls play on high school football teams across America. I've seen it. Not like a lot, but I've definitely seen women competing with men.
Here in Vanderbilt, we've got a female kicker.
So what's the difference? What really?
The difference is...
Are you saying the women?
The flip, yeah.
We've talked about this, but sports is not fair. Everybody says it's fair. It's not fair, and it's not equal. Okay? So you got to establish... Everyone's like, it's the fairest thing in the world. No, it's not fair, because playing against LeBron James, that is not fair in any world whatsoever. LeBron James with a broken arm will beat me in a basketball game. Is it fair he was born like that and I was born like me? I would love to have been a basketball player. I would love to have been a baseball player. I can't throw a ball 30 miles an hour to save my life, okay? Is that fair? It's, that one, it's willing to have a discussion. I get it. But is that really the most pressing matter that you're voting on in these times? No. That's what I'm saying. Once again, what percentage are we talking about here? It's like 0.01% this is happening in Tennessee.
No.
I don't know. Like I said, they just I think people like to pass laws that are going to make them look good. Oh, yeah, look at me. But sometimes in history, you can think you're on the right side, and as time comes on, you're going to start to realize, oh, I was on the wrong side. Like drugs. I mean, it's one of the big things. That was one of the big things they went after Kamala Harris for, or Kamala Harris, whatever her name is. They said, oh, you prosecuted people for marijuana possession like hardcore when you were in office, and now you're back. Well, yeah. So you just got to be careful. I think with social issues, a lot of time, I don't even know why a lot of these people are involved with it. I mean, I don't know. It's that one. Like I said, do I care about it? I don't care about it, but I can see how people do because people still think sports are fair. But dude, come on. You don't think these dudes are using stuff to get a competitive? We already know they did in baseball. They did in football. They just probably didn't catch them. And so, I mean, let's be real here. Anyway. Okay. Well, that's about everything that's happened this week. Did you have anything that popped up in your news feed?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, that's good. All right, well, let's just get to it. Today's April 1st, April Fool's Day. Woohoo! Happy birthday to our friend Chris England, who does not listen to the program, but it is his birthday today, which I always thought was kind of, what a birthday to have. You know, I mean.
My old crush's birthday was today, Katie Hammonds.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Katie Hammonds, if you're listening, which you're not.
Yeah.
But it would be weird if she was. But yes, what do you think of April Fools before we start this list? I mean, fan or no fan?
I mean, as a kid, I thought it was fun.
Right. When does it get on? Probably like 30. You're just like, all right, man. Like
it's when you don't get to see your friends as often as you'd like to.
Right. Because you can always like prank your friends with something small. And now companies have got into it where like, oh, today this is going to be called this. And people are so dumb they keep falling for it. I'm like, dude, come on, guys. Yeah. No major company is going to make a major release on April 1st. So it'd be foolish to do of serious value. Like Volkswagen was going to come out and say they had changed their name to Volkswagen. They were going to be all electrical fleet from this point forward. And I guess someone told them like, nah, man, you probably guys shouldn't do that. So they canceled it. Yeah. They didn't do it. But companies try to do that. And it's like, all right, man, enough. You're right. It's a kid holiday, right? And as you get to be
I mean, there's more important things in your life. I mean, you got to pay your bills. You got to feed your family.
Right.
And if you get to see your friends 3 or 4 times a week, then you might, those types of things might come up.
Right.
But I mean, yeah.
Can you think of any? I'm trying to think. It was like an epic April Fool's, but there's really none because they've all been stupid. They get debunked immediately.
Yeah.
Now I used to get people all the time in my younger days. Because they were gullible. I mean, how do you not know when you wake up? Today's April 1st. So anything I read today, I need to really. It's even got to point out.
Yeah, not a grain of salt. The whole shaker.
Yes. It's got to point out things that get released a few days before. I'm like, I don't know about this. Like Michael Strahan said he got the gap in his teeth fixed. I went, the day before April Fool's, did you, sir? Did you? I don't know if that one's true or not. I haven't. I know that was like a big thing that was trending. I don't think he did. I think it was a bit. But anyway, who knows? But anyway, we love comedy regardless. And so we're here to break down the Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians. So I fell into love with stand-up comedy probably around like 11 or 12 years old. Comedy Central was in the house. I would watch everything. Anything that was on there, I would watch it. So any comedian you've seen, I've seen. I've forgotten about a lot of them. But when did you decide? Was there a point?
I was in and out of them because there were some stand-up comedians that I didn't think were that funny.
Yeah.
And I was under the impression when I was younger that if this is what they do, then they should be good at it, and I should be laughing at almost everything they say.
That's right.
And there's a lot of them out there where even today I'm like, nah, but I get it.
Right.
They're for certain people with a certain type of humor.
Correct.
And so some of them I'm going to think are hilarious, and some of them they're blah, but other people might think they're hilarious.
That's true. That's what you realize you get older. Everyone likes something a little bit different. People get like bent out of shape and you're like, no pineapple on pizza. How dare you? Dude, everyone likes something different. You guys are just getting outraged because you like it and you think everyone should like. I don't want everyone to like everything I like.
Yeah, it'd run out.
I want people
you wouldn't get it.
Yes, I want people to appreciate when I see a great, like a movie or something. I'm like, did you like that movie? No. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you just don't get it. That's fine. But anyway, we're going to break down the Mount Rushmore stand-up comedians. Now, it's, stand-up comedy goes back a ways,
And like I said, there's different tastes. I guarantee you that there's going to be somebody's favorite is not going to be on either one of our lists.
Oh, yeah, out there, I'm sure, yeah. I mean, there's people that I don't even think are that funny that people love. And I'm like...
There's people I think that I could take or leave that I'm actually putting on my list.
Okay, that's interesting.
So...
All right, well, we're going to get started. Here's the Mount Rushmore rules. If you never listened, we pick 4 people to be on our Mount Rushmore. I go first this week. John second, back and forth. Once someone's off the board, once someone's taken, the other person can't have them. So there will be 8 individuals on here, And so sometimes the second person gets screwed, sometimes not. People liked John's list last week. We got an Instagram comment said it was the pretty much definitive list. So I'll look at your list. It was pretty good last week, I would say. So we're going to see how my number one position works this week. All right, so my number one, I've already told you. We texted, and I'm like, I showed you a picture. I was like, this is who I'm taking.
I know. I knew it.
This is my GOAT. This is my favorite comedian of all time. He's one of the most entertaining guys. He revolutionized the game. He changed TV, everything. But his stand-up comedy is perfection to me. He hasn't a bad moment yet, and that's Dave Chappelle's my number one.
What's great about Dave Chappelle is his show, as amazing as it was.
Yeah.
All those bits were stuff that just wouldn't work for his stand-up.
Right.
That's the stuff that didn't make the cut.
I know, yeah.
And it's that funny.
Yeah, no, it's
just, that's how amazing this guy is.
Any of his specials, any of them. Pick one. I know people like the Cry Me Softly, I think was one of them, but the one where he's talking about the baby with the crack and all that. People, I mean, I still watch it today, and I'm crying with laughter. Yeah. So Chappelle, to me, I know other people have probably somewhat number one, but that's, and I've watched a lot of comedy, but Chappelle is like, he's got to be up there for me. All right, John, you're number one.
Well, number one, I'm going to kick it back, stay a little bit in that vein, but I'm going to go old school and say Richard Pryor.
That would be my number two. Richard Pryor, man, he is the, importance-wise, to go on John's side, Richard Pryor may be more important to Chappelle to the genesis of stand-up comedy. I mean, he changed a lot. There's a lot of stuff you couldn't talk about or couldn't do. Yeah, he changed the game.
For him.
He was a game changer. I mean, he went up there and was talking about like personal things where people were like, whoa, and he started out as kind of like, he was doing pretty much Cosby light, as he said. He was doing Cosby, but not Cosby. And along the way, I guess he just said, you know what, dude, I'm done playing this role of like, he would go on all the talk shows and he'd be like, oh, you're black. Yeah. Probably very like borderline racist stuff back then that you get away with. And I think I watched a documentary about him and it was enjoyable. I forget what it was called, but basically it examined his life. And at some point he just said, I'm done with this. I'm going to talk about real stuff. And he made it entertaining. He made it funny. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on Pryor, man?
Oh yeah. An innovator. And I mean, he talked about dark stuff, but he put that spin on it where it's like, hey, I mean, you can cry about it or you can laugh about it and move on.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, just if you want to watch his first special, you will be blown away. It's probably one of the greatest ones of all time. But yeah, Richard Pryor definitely up there. All right, well, I'm gonna go to my number two. If you think an OG and you don't get Richard Pryor, you got to go with the guy that just everyone loves.
I think I know who you're going to say.
George Carlin.
Yep.
Carlin is a beast of comedy.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you have him? Or
I did have him.
Okay, yes.
But we discussed earlier, I don't want to share it with the people. I told you that I hope some of mine were on your list.
Okay, good.
So they could be represented, but I could still say somebody else.
That's right. Carlin.
That's the first time we've done one of these lists that I felt that way.
Well, good. That's good.
And so
I kind of felt that last week when you're grabbing all the superhero females. I was like, man, another. But Carlin, what can you say? I mean, a thinking man's comedian, had the 7 words can't see on TV, one of his greatest bits ever, and really reflected on life, society, politics, religion. I mean, he kind of hit it all.
He was a workhorse too.
Oh yeah.
He put out hour-long specials every year.
Crazy.
For like 50 years. That's how long he was in the game. And he was still doing like movies and stuff.
Insane.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I mean,
insane.
Yeah.
It's dude, so I've told this before. One time in my life, John was there. I did a stand-up routine, probably like 5 minutes, if that. And to write that 5 minutes, and John helped with some of the bits, it took a long time. That's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no way I could ever, and I love stand-up. I mean, I don't think people understand. I love movies, I love music, and I love stand-up comedy. Like, those are like my 3 things I love. I love the art of stand-up comedy. I love watching the bits develop. And like you said, I can even watch people where I'm like, not so funny, but I can see the art of it, and I love it. And I wish I'd had the guts to do it, because I think you probably do get better if you do it over and over. You're going to bomb a lot, but I think just doing it over and over again, like you say, hour-long specials every year, dude, that's insane.
I think a lot. That's why there's a lot of crossover between comedians and acting.
Yeah,
is because it is a performance,
right? Yeah,
and they have to practice it. They can't just write the material and be like, all right, I'm going to perform it.
Yeah.
No, they have to work at it. And I've heard that the best frontmen of bands
The same way.
have to do a repertoire and practice their in-between songs, what they're going to do, what they're going to say, and those are the best ones. They don't just get up there and fly by night.
Right.
They have a way of doing things, and they practice it.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true. And John and myself, at different points in our life, have definitely, people have said, you're one of the funniest people I met or in the room or whatever. John used to get laughs like crazy.
I've got a family member of yours and a mutual friend, Daniel. He's been in the chat before. He would get other friends of his to meet me, and they're like, I'd meet this guy, and they're like, all right, make fun of me. I'm like,
John was a roast comedian.
I was like, that's not how it works. I wait for you to do something stupid, and then I just rag on you.
John was pretty much the Don Rickles of our social circle.
My JD was talking about, there's a show called Wild and Out.
Yes.
And he's like, you need to be on that show.
Terrible show.
I agree. But,
terrible show. But
and then back when we were in our mid-20s, they had MTV had a show, I think it was called Your Mama or something. It was kind of
they
the
did
same
have
vein.
that show, yeah. Oh,
and,
that show
and
was.
you said, John, you need to go be on that show.
Bro, that show was absurd. Yo Mama jokes was literally, that was the entire
the whole thing.
concept of the show. Two dudes lined up, a crowd among them, and it was Yo Mama jokes for 10 minutes at a time. They would battle, then the next people would battle, and then they would battle. Daniel's in the chat right now. What's up?
Oh.
So yeah, John was a roaster for sure. I'm more of like a storyteller when I make people laugh. Like, I'm just outrageous. But John, he can roast you like nobody else. So, all right, Carlin, number 2. Who's your number 2, John?
My number 2 was going to be Carlin.
Now it's Don Rickles.
No. Even older than that.
Oh,
I'm
God.
talking about the godfather, the granddaddy of them all, Bob Hope.
Oh, God. Thank God I didn't have him on the list. All right, tell me why Bob Hope's on your list,
He's
brother.
the originator, man.
Tell me a Bob Hope joke.
He's done.
Tell me a joke. Yeah, does he have a
like
joke?
I said, he's not my favorite, but I mean, I just think stand-up comedy, if you're gonna have George Washington on, then you gotta have Bob Hope.
Yeah, I guess. I actually have funny people on my Mount Rushmore. Bob Hope has never made me laugh, but I haven't watched much Bob Hope either, to be fair. But the stuff I have watched was pretty bland. But anyway, yes, so he did a lot of...
He did a lot of stuff for the troops and stuff.
Yeah,
and
people like that. Did it for the troops.
Just, I mean, and as far as mileage goes, I mean, you can't get... I mean, tell me somebody that came up before him.
I mean, I can. I'm sure there are dudes, but I don't...
I'm not saying there hasn't been, but you got to do some research. You can't just pull it out.
I am a historian. I ain't that deep cut historian, but I do want to encourage everyone, keep putting your people in the chat. I will come back and read them all at the end, because there's a lot of people that are not going to be on our list for sure, but I want to read them off.
We've got, trust me, I went through the ringer as far as naming people.
Okay,
so.
I'm going to go with my number 3, because I'm like you. I think this dude's funny. His stand-up is funny. It's not the funniest, but he was a game changer. His stand-up, what it led to, what he did. What's the deal, Jerry Seinfeld? Seinfeld has got to be on my Mount Rushmore. I think when people thought of comedy in the 90s, he was the guy. On his show, every episode...
It started off
with a stand-up bit. The whole concept of the show was he was a stand-up comedian doing his thing. And his specials are fun. I mean, they were funny back then. I mean, it was very observational humor. It was, you know... Why do you park on driveways? It was stuff like that. I mean, at the time, you'd never seen that stuff before. Now it's like oversaturated. You're like, all right, everybody does that. But when he was doing it, he was like top of the charts.
I love hearing him talk about his mindset and the way he does stuff. Mm-hmm. He wrote a joke, and it had the F word in it. And he tried it so many other ways to try to not do it with the F word. And he was so mad that it wasn't as funny.
Really? So what did he do?
He just dropped the joke.
So he is clean. So we have Bob Hope and definitely Seinfeld being your clean comedians. I feel you got to have Chappelle, nothing clean in that act. Carlin, once again, nothing clean. Richard Pryor, definitely nothing clean.
Yeah.
But we discussed before we fired on, you got to have one clean comedian on there, someone the kids
Well,
can
with
watch.
you taking George Carlin, I'll have another clean one.
All right,
coming
so
up.
Seinfeld, I just think, man, that's definitive. Everybody knows who the dude is, and I think he did a lot to help comedians get on television and get their own shows.
Oh,
because
yes.
a lot of time back then, that's what you were aiming for. You were hoping for a stand-up special. You're hoping to get on the Johnny Carson show. You're hoping to get a movie and a special, and you're good to go. That was the whole concept. So I think he helped kind of create that little niche.
I think it was David Letterman's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld went back on, and he did the same exact bit
Really?
as he did 25 years previously,
Wow.
and the joke still fell.
There you go. That's sign of a good. That's a
Yeah.
good bit right there. All right. Well, John, you're up to your number 3.
My
Who
number
you
3
got?
is actually one of my favorites.
Okay. It's interesting.
Probably. Well, now that you took Carlin, he's. I'll have 2 of my favorites on there, but Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I get no respect.
He's the king of take my wife, please.
Yeah.
Self-deprecating humor. I mean, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There's just so many other people that just fall to the wayside if he didn't kind of start that wave.
Right.
Another Norm Macdonald.
Yes, they're all
Nothing- yeah.
they're all offshoots of him.
Yeah,
He I listened to an
it's
interview
just hilarious.
with Eddie Murphy, and I guess they were performing around
Oh
the
yeah,
same time.
yeah.
I guess he walked up to
He asked for him for advice.
and he basically said, clean it up, kid, clean it up,
Yeah.
And I guess he went and saw him years later, and he said he walked up to him and he goes, hey, and he goes, who would have known? And he just walked off. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's a great Dangerfield. Yeah, he was definitely. I had written that name down because he's great, man. I mean, yeah, those movies he made were pretty good, man. I don't know what to say. They're good, but I love his movies. Ladybugs,
Back to School.
Back to School. Hell yeah, dude. Those are great. They're corny. He was also in Caddyshack.
Caddyshack.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he's one. He's got to be on the Mount Rushmore. I'm glad you picked him. All right. Well, let me come up to my last one. I've got 2 options I can do. And it's so tough when you get to 4 because you're looking at all these names. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to leave this guy off. People are going to hate me for it. But I'm just going to go in the spirit. I'm almost glad you took Rodney because he was definitely on my list. I got 2 guys I'm going with. I've already got enough older guys. I've got Carlin, Seinfeld, older. I got Chappelle. So I got to put one more newer guy on there. And I think this guy, right now, people go, oh, he's on the Mount Rushmore. In a few more years, trust me, this dude is going to be one of the legends, and it's our boy Billy Burr. I love Bill Burr.
I love Bill Burr.
His stand-up specials always they make me laugh no matter what. It's just his energy, the way he sees the world, just kind of his rants, and he does not give a damn. And that is something that's what I admire about all these dudes is just this confidence they have, man. They just that's what everybody loves about them. I mean, they're vulnerable.
The
but
thing
they're
is
speaking
that's
up.
it's especially Bill Burr. He's got a confidence in spite of his self-consciousness.
Yeah.
Because I mean, by his own, he couldn't go up in a bar and just go up to any girl and just start chatting her
Oh,
up.
hell no.
And just and he's been the butt of many jokes. There's a story where he, in order to get free baseball tickets, he did the tour guide for a bus.
Yeah.
And he's doing
man.
stand up on a bus.
I wish I could have been on that bus.
And some of the other guys got word of it, and they just tore him a new
Oh, I
one.
bet.
Like Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, I bet Patrice O'Neal wore him out.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. He said he just had to sit there and just not talk.
Sometimes you got to take your medicine, right?
Yeah, and then another time he was near the beginning of his career, he was riding with 2 other comedians. I forget who it was, but they would always roast him about being super white and it was like,
Right.
do you look outside and get burned?
Pretty much.
and stuff like that. And one day he had enough and he just bought them a bunch of chicken.
Oh, no.
And so they were so busy eating that while they were on their way back to
couldn't
the
roast
hotel,
on
they
them.
weren't roasting on
Oh,
them.
man. that comedy scene, wow, that made some real tough dudes of comedians like Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, and I mean just that whole kind of New York, Boston crowd. You had to have some thick skin to make it through there. Like that would be.
I mean, those Comedy Central roasts are nothing compared to the way these guys treat each other.
Hell no. Him and Patrice O'Neal alone, I wouldn't even go into the room.
And
like, if they were in a room, I'd be like, bro, I'm out. Like,
the thing is, though, is as hard as they were on each other, when Patrice O'Neal died, it didn't hit anybody as bad as it did Bill Burr.
Oh, they love that guy. I mean, and that's the thing really about comedy. I mean, you can roast a stranger, but like inside jokes with your friends are unbreakable bond. You know, once you have something on someone, you know, especially in that world, you got to toughen up. You know, you get on that stage, no one cares. Like, if they see you fall apart, you're done. So that was almost like their kind of like their army training to be comedians, is being in that scene. So I love Bill Burr. I think he's the great. So, yeah. All right, John, we are up to your last person on the Mount Rushmore of stand-up
This
comedians.
one originally did not make it.
Uh-oh.
If it wasn't for two of your picks that you picked.
All right.
I wouldn't have had a couple of people on mine. And this one is Stephen Wright.
Oh, man, I never would have picked him. But that's a good one. He's funny.
Stephen Wright is the king of deadpan. One-liners, one after the other. And it's just, I mean, I think my favorite joke of his is, I just got some powdered water, but I don't know what to add to it.
Oh, God.
It's just, just so.
No, wait. Who was the other guy that was kind of like him that died? What was
Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, Mitch Hedberg.
Mitch Hedberg, I
Who's
love
better?
him too.
Who's better, Hedberg or Wright?
Well, I don't think Hedberg could have done what he did without Wright.
Yeah.
And plus, Wright is able to maintain the whole show. Mitch Hedberg would start cracking up at his own jokes.
I kind of like that, though. I like when people kind of laugh at their own jokes sometimes.
Yeah,
Chappelle does it.
If that's your shtick.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, I mean, but I mean, they're just Dimitri Martin. He's kind of the same way.
For sure.
And these are, I mean, I love all those guys.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. Let me run down. I'm going to run down first off our list. I'm going to go back in the chat, and then me and John will see who couldn't make it on our list. So I had Dave Chappelle, George Carlin, Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Burr, and John had Richard Pryor, Bob Hope, Rodney Dangerfield, and Stephen Wright. Now, from the chat, here's some names. You tell me just a yes or no when I read through them if they would have made your list if we had 8 people, okay?
If we had 8?
Yeah, if we had 8.
Because look at,
Okay, here we go. I see your list. All right, here we go. Jim Gaffigan.
He wouldn't have made my 8, but I do like him.
Robin Williams.
He's on my long list.
Yeah. Let's say if you had 2 more. Let's say you had 1 more choice.
1 more? No, he wouldn't make 1 more.
All right.
If we had 10, he'd be on 10.
Okay, Robin said Jim Gaffigan, Robin Williams. Glenda Sari says Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy would have made my list probably.
Okay, there we go. Whoopi Goldberg from Robin.
She's the funniest female comedian to me.
No, not.
I said to me.
Hardly. She's not very funny. Wanda Sykes. Probably funnier than. Anyway, okay. We also had Killer Bees from Glenda. You know who Killer Bees is? Funniest guy in the South, man. I'm Killer Bees. Yeah. Ricky Smiley, George Lopez from Lisa. No.
Ricky Smiley has a shtick that is, I think he's funnier when he has more of a background than just doing stand-up.
Okay. Freddie Prinze Sr. Milton Berle from Glenda. Let's see here. Then we got a few more. Lily Tomlin. No.
Yeah, she's just I think she's a better actress than she is.
Steve Martin.
He's on my long list.
Martin Short, Bernie Mac, Chevy Chase, Robin Williams. All people that the chat loved. I mean, they're all funny dudes. All right, so I'm going to run I know John's got a million of them. I love Chris Rock, almost made my list. Gaffigan was if I just ran out. Red Fox, although I'm not that familiar with stand-up, I heard he was really good. And I really thought about...
Red Fox to me is very similar to a lot of what Richard Pryor does.
Yeah, true. So. Nate Bargatze, who I absolutely love.
He's a hometown hero.
Up and coming. But, dude, every special... And the dude I left out at number 4, but I had to, was Sam Kinison, who I absolutely
I was surprised you didn't pick him.
I thought it was either Burr or Kinison. And I've gone back and listened to Kinison. I liked what he was, and I love his delivery, and I steal it a lot when I tell stories, like his manic energy.
Yeah.
But Bill Burr's he's a little bit funnier to me. So, all right, who's on your list?
Ricky Gervais. I laugh at everything he says almost. Jim Jeffries, Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, John, come on.
I'm just saying.
I mean, as far as Mount Rushmore, if you look at, he would be the Southern comedian over Killer Bees for sure.
I mean, if you're doing like
if you
Draw,
yeah. Well, then you could also say your puppet guy though. If you were saying Draw,
I don't call him a comedian. He's a
no,
ventriloquist.
he's a comedian.
Yeah, but
he's a stand-up comedian. Anyways, go ahead. Who am I talking about? Jeff Dunham.
Jeff Dunham.
Okay.
Norm Macdonald, Mitch Hedberg. Kind of talked about Tom Segura, Louis C.K.
Oh.
John Mulaney. You mentioned Jerry Seinfeld. Dennis Miller.
Okay.
Bill Hicks.
Go ahead. Say the name that should be both on our list, but because of his past, he can't be on it.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, Bill Cosby. I mean, you can't.
He's on my list.
Oh, he is. John was like, screw it.
Lenny Bruce. I mean, Lenny
you
Bruce.
You ain't ever heard of Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce was like
you've never heard
Bill Hicks.
You've never heard any of Lenny Bruce comedians. No way.
I know more about Lenny Bruce than I do Bob Hope, and he's on my list.
I listened to one. Who was it again? Lenny Bruce, because I'm thinking Bill Hicks now. I heard one.
They're similar.
I heard Lenny Bruce. I went, dude, what is this? This is not comedy. This is just edgy. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, keep going.
John Oliver, Sam Kinison, Dimitri Martin, Steve Martin, Jim Carrey, and Louis Black.
Oh, Louis Black's a good one.
Louis Black.
I've seen Louis Black. He's funny.
He is funny.
Who's the?
He's got that energy too.
So have you seen a lot of stand-up comedians in person?
In person, no, I haven't.
You know who I've seen? I've seen Chappelle.
You've seen Chappelle.
I've seen Burr. I've seen Nate Bargatze. I've seen Louis Black. I'm thinking, but those are the big ones I've seen. Chappelle, greatest, without a shadow of a doubt. Nate Bargatze, I did laugh the entire. I was crying so hard because it was when he was working on his bit about the iced coffee, and no one had heard this shit. And I was at Zany's when he was working on that, and I about peed my pants. I thought it was the funniest bit. I mean, when I think of a bit, like if I'm going to tell someone, I can always tell that iced coffee story. I mean, it's so great. So, all right. Well, who was the black comedian that died? Shirley somebody. I went to see her. Don't know who that is. But anyways, and Fest Loves in the chat, he says, Rodney Dangerfield is the GOAT. I'm not going to disagree. He's a real good one. So that was our Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians. We would love to hear yours. Hit us up on social media, BYB Pod on Facebook and Twitter. Let us know who we left off. We will put out the list. But man, we can agree on something. That's an art, and everybody on there deserves to be on there. Everybody on that list probably deserves to be in there, and everybody in the chat. If you're doing it, you're making funny, you're making people laugh and things. It's fantastic. Do it. So we love comedy. That was a fun list, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. So, well, John, we've come up to the end of the show. These Mount Rushmores are going good, man. They're going fast. They're making the show go along. So hopefully you enjoyed all of our Lil Nas X test. Festlove came in and goes, did I miss the Lil Nas X talk? I'm like, yeah. So he's going to rewind and check it out. We encourage every one of you to go listen to the show again. Grab it on any podcast device or on YouTube. We like to see those numbers go up. And, we always appreciate anyone that listens. We appreciate every hardcore person that stays in the chat, that pops in. I love it. I love seeing people, it's just great. It's a great feeling. But you can grab the podcast. You can hit us up on social media. Let us know what you thought about any of our thoughts on Dave Ramsey, Tennessee, politics, Jesus being a socialist, any of that stuff. You can hit us up on social media and do that. BYBpod.com is the website. That's where you'll find all of our past shows, articles, ways to buy merchandise. Glenda just asked me, do we have coffee mugs for sale? Yes, we do. And I think she's going to buy one. So we appreciate that. And if you
don't just have to put coffee in them.
There you go. Put a little afternoon coffee in it. Yes, and you can also get anything you want to buy on Amazon. Go to bybpod.com. There's an Amazon button at the bottom. Click on that. Buy all your stuff through Amazon, and we get a small kickback on it, so we always appreciate that. So I guess with all of that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.
Peace.